It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning. So we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at U-Like, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. U-Like. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
Oh, baby, it is a Thursday in Central Texas, and we are live in the Alico building at the heart of Waco. My name is Scotty Swingler here with you. The Pete Sousa Show is live today. I'll be with you. Royden Ogletree of KWTX will join me in segment 2, and we have a great show coming up for you. Pete back tomorrow, as far as I understand it. We will confirm that, obviously, after we conclude today. But a great show for you coming up. Let me tell you what we're going to talk about today. Jerry Jones and this dysfunction that continues to be the Dallas Cowboys front office. I've got some numbers for you. We're going to talk about the Houston Texans and Houston Astros today. Our boy Royden, big Houston sports fan. That is not my area of expertise, but I'm going to let Royden take you inside to Texans training camp coming up and the Houston Astros as they go into the back third of the Major League Baseball season. And we're going to talk a little Baylor basketball as they are overseas playing very well in Europe. Guys, I think this Baylor basketball roster might be really, really, really good. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to talk about this July has been full of blockbuster films. Royden, you may not know, has a movie podcast. So we'll talk a little, maybe some Superman, Jurassic World, Fantastic Four comes out tonight. Did you see F1? We'll talk about all of that coming up here on the Pete Sousa Show, which is brought to you by our friends at Slovacek's. If you're driving through West, whether you're going from Waco to Dallas, Austin to Dallas, coming down to Waco from North Texas, make sure you stop at Slovacek's and say hello to Ray. Get a kolache, get a drink, maybe sit and stay a while, charge your Tesla if you're driving an electric vehicle. Slovacek's, we love those guys, and they make this show possible. You know who also makes this show possible are some of our loyal listeners, watchers, and commenters like Scotty B, the Baylor King. I saw this news break through right before we got on the air, and Scotty B reminds us Baylor football has added a wide receiver in the portal. It's Ryan Shackelford. I hope I'm saying that name correctly, from Purdue. Speedster, track runner, in addition to being a wide receiver, will bolster that Baylor wide receiver room. We've talked plenty of Baylor football in recent weeks. That roster is good. That coaching staff looks to be good. The quarterback we know is good. Big season coming up for Baylor football. But I want to start today with the topic of the week. We did it Monday. We did it Tuesday. We ran some of it back for you yesterday here on the Pete Sousa Show, and that is Dallas Cowboys training camp, as this Micah Parsons contract situation and Jerry Jones press conference has taken over the narrative. We're not talking about football. We're not talking about the fact that the Cowboys are in a division with the Super Bowl champs and another Super Bowl hopeful, the Washington Commanders, led by, I think, one of the best players in the NFL, Jaden Daniels. We're talking about contracts. We're talking about the front office. We're talking about Jerry Jones, once again, making everything about himself, making all of the Cowboys news cycle about him and his power and what he can do for this team. And it drives me crazy. And you heard Pete say earlier this week, Scotty, he kind of said to me, Scotty, I feel like I finally understand the pain that Cowboys fans go through every offseason, that Cowboys fans feel small and unseen and uncared for. And listen, I don't really give a rip about how I feel as a Cowboys fan or the fan base feels when Jerry Jones runs his mouth or runs the circus, right? What I do care about is that the Cowboys haven't been to a conference championship game in 30 years. That's what I care about. What I care about is I have grown up my whole life rooting for a franchise that, when I was born, was one of the 3 or 4 most successful franchises on the field in NFL history and was the number 1 franchise in America in terms of relevance in pop culture when we talk about sports. And my whole life, the Cowboys have not lived up to that billing. That last Super Bowl win, by the way, I was 3 years old. I don't even remember it. And here we are in 2025, and this is the most pessimistic I have been about a Cowboys season coming up in a long time. You heard me talk about that Tuesday when Pete and I did an NFC East preview. I am pessimistic. I don't like what the Cowboys are putting on the field. I certainly don't like the teams that they have to face in division, especially the Commanders. And it's not a good time. Most of my life, I've been fairly optimistic about the product the Cowboys have put on the field because despite the lack of postseason success, you've had tons of 12-win teams. I did believe and still believe, because I'm a Romo-sexual, if you will, that Tony Romo is one of the most exciting players I've ever seen play football. I believed in a lot of those teams. I believed in some of these early Dak Prescott teams that seemed to maybe have the juice and have what it takes to go deep in the postseason. It's just never happened. And now I don't believe in the product on the field. And the storylines around training camp are about how Jerry doesn't want to give a big contract to who is clearly the best player on this football team. All due respect to CeeDee Lamb. But Micah Parsons, you could argue, is a top 5 player in the NFL. I don't know that I would make that argument, but I would hear it. Like, he is that dominant when healthy and when on the field. Defensives have to game plan around him. He is a force, an athletic freak, whether he's rushing the passer or playing in more of a traditional linebacker role, which I know he hasn't done as much as the years have gone by. But, you know, you heard me talk about it, I guess, Tuesday when Pete and I talked about this, and I compared it to Jalen Smith, who I really liked as a linebacker for the Cowboys, you know, when he signed his extension. And we know how that went after that. But Jerry Jones is hesitating to give Micah Parsons what he's earned and what the market dictates he's owed. So I just thought it might be a helpful exercise for us to go through some of the other people Jerry Jones has paid in the last 5 or 6 years and just say, like, double down on the point. Jerry Jones should not be a GM in the NFL because it feels like he makes the wrong decision every time. And by the way, I think this game he's playing with Micah Parsons about his contract is the wrong decision. And I think whether you don't sign him to an extension this offseason or whether you sign him really late in this cycle and probably end up overpaying him, he continues to make the wrong decision. So I want to go through these contracts that Jerry Jones has given to particular Cowboys players since 2019. And I just want you to think, as I'm reading through these contracts, which of these contracts was a good deal? Like, I just want to walk through these deals and say, which ones of these paid off or were worth the money, or we're going to look back and go, man, I sure am glad Jerry Jones made that decision for the Dallas Cowboys. So first, DeMarcus Lawrence, 5 years, $105 million, signed in April 2019. On a scale of 1 to 10, maybe that's a 5. Like, at least he played out most of that contract for the Dallas Cowboys, but, like, I don't know if he was worth that money. Jalen Smith, we talked about it earlier this week, 5 years, $64 million in August 2019, $35 million of that guaranteed. Bad deal. Ezekiel Elliott. I forgot about this, by the way. I just remembered that we brought him back instead of Derrick Henry last offseason. We gave Ezekiel Elliott 6 years, $90 million in September of 2019. We just finished paying that. Bad deal. Amari Cooper, 5 years, $100 million in March of 2020. I liked that deal at the time, by the way. I think Amari Cooper remains one of the more underrated players in the NFL. But 5 years, $100 million, he was off the team, 2 years later. Worst contract in the sport. Dak Prescott, 4 years, $160 million in March of 2021 that became a 4-year, $240 million extension in September of 2024. Pete and I disagree on this. You don't pay the 16th best quarterback in the NFL that much money when we know what Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson just signed for. It's insane the way that Jerry Jones went about that. Do you remember that in March of 2022, Jerry Jones gave Michael Gallup a 5-year, $62.5 million contract? That hasn't been worth the money. Here's Trayvon Diggs, who Jerry Jones referenced in that rambling press conference a couple days ago. 5 years, $97 million. July of 2023 is when he signed that. I think that could still play out okay, but right now, that is not going so well. Terrence Steele, 5 years, $86.8 million in September of 2023. What are we doing? What are we talking about? CeeDee Lamb, 4 years, $136 million last August. Probably the one that I've read so far that it's like, okay, if he plays through that contract, I could see the value in that decision, right? But did you remember that 4 months ago, we gave Osa Odigizua A 4-year, $80 million extension. We gave him $80 million, and we're talking about Micah Parsons. Like, what are we doing? And so I just felt, as we got started today, like I needed to continue to vent about this as a Cowboys fan, how agonizing it is to continue rooting for a franchise year after year after year, where Jerry Jones insists on being the decision maker when it comes to personnel. And we're talking about giving Odigizua $80 million, but it's like a big controversy that we should pay Micah Parsons like one of the best defensive ends in football. Regardless of how you cut it, it almost feels like Jerry Jones undermined his own credibility in that press conference. And he's like, well, we gave Terrence Steele and Trayvon Diggs these deals, so why should I pay Micah Parsons? And I think every single Cowboys fan in America would say, well, none of us wanted you to give them those deals, but we all agree you need to pay this man. Like, to say that I've made all of these bad decisions, so I'm going to make another bad decision and piss off our best player, just continues to undermine his credibility. So I just thought that would be a fun exercise to get the show started this morning. No matter how you feel about Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys, I think it's not just that the writing's on the wall. It's not just that, as Pete Sousa said Tuesday, the guy at 7-Eleven and the guy working at ESPN can all tell you Jerry Jones needs to move out of a front office personnel role, and we've known that for 20 years, by the way. It's bad decision, bad decision, bad decision, bad decision. And again, whether Micah resigns at the end of this, but then it's just weird in the building, or whether he doesn't sign a deal with the Dallas Cowboys, either way, let's just add it to the tally of bad decisions Jerry Jones is making at the helm of this franchise when it comes to football personnel. Hey, I wanted to get that off my chest because we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Royden Ogletree joining us for the rest of the show. We're talking Houston sports, we're talking Baylor hoops, and we're talking Superman, maybe. I don't know. We'll talk to Royden when we come back. We're going to make sure he's all set up and ready to go. This is the Pete Sousa Show. Thanks for joining us while Pete's out. We'll be back after this quick break.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning. So we love Extraco.
I don't know, if Bubble wasn't here, I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone, and then you're going to use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
All right, back in the Alico building in Waco, Texas, and Royden Ogletree's next to me. I almost got these cameras lined up just perfect. I'm the only one in the studio today.
Just perfect.
We're close enough. We're close enough. Royden, KWTX, One Take Podcast. We'll talk about that in a minute. Dude, I wanted to start with this because I saw my parents last night, and my mom says, like, did you hear about China Spring, like, maybe going to the World Series? And I had not heard about this. So you've been covering some Little League softball action here in Central Texas that's been exciting.
It's that time of the year, man. And it is a big deal for these communities, and it's a big deal for these kids. So what happened with what happened with China Spring was their junior league baseball team, which is, for those of you who aren't paying close enough attention to this, there's several tiers of rankings in baseball, and it's all divided by age. But the ones that you see on Big E ESPN are 12 and under. For some reason, they have determined that is the cutoff to where they want to kind of broadcast that. For softball has grown in estimation over the past, couple of decades, honestly, but over the past like 10 years, really, where they've started broadcasting. I believe the championship game for the Southwest Regional is going to be on Big E, the main ESPN, which is at George W. Bush. But the what's grown in estimation is softball, and baseball has always been super popular. But what happened with China Spring is their junior league team, which is 14 and under, where they make the distinction of why they wanted to cover 12 and under, and that's historic. Maybe it's just the most quote unquote pure before these kids have the opportunity to go play high school baseball.
Sure.
Some of these kids, I don't know for a fact, but if you're 14 and under, you're maybe playing like freshman baseball at China Spring or JV baseball at China Spring, and still could possibly play Little League. That's, few and far between. But anyway, it was the first team from the China Spring Youth Athletic Association that had ever won a state tournament that then went to the Southwest Regional, which the Southwest Regional, for those of you who don't know, is a big deal for the 12 and under because it's played in Waco at George W. Bush Little League Field Complex. Great Little League complex if you've never had the opportunity to go see
phenomenal.
it.
Yeah.
But they had to go all the way out to, China Spring did, all the way out to Albuquerque, New Mexico. So they were playing all the way out. Yeah, like the Midway teams, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but the Midway teams got to go literally right down the road.
Down
like
the street.
10 minutes from their front door.
Yeah.
And poor China Spring had to go all the way out to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
That's incredible.
They got all the way to the championship game where they had to have a rematch against Needville, which is in East Texas.
Yes.
Texas is so big they have two divisions, so it's Texas West, Texas East. They lost to Texas East, Needville, 9-8 in a game that put them in the losers bracket. They battled back, they won, and they had to play them again in the championship game to go to the Junior League World Series. They unfortunately lost that game kind of in dominant fashion by Needville, like 13-2. But it's the furthest that any China Spring team has ever been. Midway softball wrapped up yesterday. They have been to something, I think they were looking to go to their 13th Little League Softball World Series in Midway history. I think they've won 9 or 10 of them.
No surprise that the high school has won state championships.
No, it really isn't. Once you look at the success the high school has, especially it's kind of an interesting story. Some of those teams that some of those girls that played on, I believe, the last World Series championship team for Midway were on the state championship team. They would have been freshmen, but they are on the state championship team for Midway this year. So it was really cool to see that and sort of the pipeline that they have. Unfortunately, they lost to Hallettsville, who no-hit them. It was kind of incredible to see. And then they had a do-or-die game yesterday in a sort of mini Red River rivalry against Oklahoma, and they just couldn't. It's not that they couldn't hang with them. They made some errors, and it kind of went off the rails a little bit, and they lost 5-2, so they were bounced. So now Texas East has a chance to continue and represent Texas out of the Southwest Regional. They may be hard to beat, but they're from Hallettsville, which is near Shiner, halfway between San Antonio and Houston. So that, and then the Midway boys, I'm going long on this, but the Midway boys who have never I don't think ever been to a World Series. They may have never won a state championship, which it's hard to fathom that could be the case, but they're going about as far as they've ever been. They play next week. So people, if you're in the area, if you're wanting to keep an eye on that, they play July 31st. So next Thursday.
Is that here locally?
Yeah, that's
too?
Also the 12U. All the 12U Southwest Regional is played right down the street at George W. Bush.
Awesome. Life of a Central Texas sportscaster.
Let me tell you about it. And not only that, I was burning. They play these games on the surface of the sun. I don't know if they tell you that when you go out there to go cover these games. My live shot yesterday, my hair was like this. I was drenched in sweat. Yeah. And I had to be like, unfortunately they lost. So I don't know it was tough sledding.
Thanks for sending me out here.
Yeah, exactly. They play those games at 125 degrees, it feels like. But
we're on the surface
all for the
of
kids.
Venus. Yeah. Melting out there. It's great. And what's crazy is maybe I grew up playing baseball through 6th grade.
Yeah.
I played in heat like that.
Yeah.
And when you're a kid, it's just like,
it's whatever.
I hardly remember noticing, by the way. I remember it's hot, but you're having a blast. Yeah.
I remember forever it was just like, drink Gatorade, you'll be fine.
Right.
And then eventually they came out with those Gator towel things. I don't know if you remember that, where you'd soak it in water and it would quote unquote keep its moisture for forever and supposed to cool you down.
Oh, I do remember that.
It was some new technology. It's probably giving you cancer or something like that. But they would just throw it on your neck, and it would be dry in 2 minutes. It was it stays cool forever. It doesn't. So we just gotta back in my day we had to grin and bear it.
It's amazing. Well, Life of a Central Texas sportscaster. Also, you're obviously very involved with covering the Baylor Bears, and
he is.
I invited you on today after we interacted a bit on Twitter yesterday with Baylor basketball is representing the United States in the World University Games over in Europe, and
Rhein-Ruhr, Germany.
There we go. And I've been following from a distance. I haven't been able to catch a game all the way through live yet. I've seen clips and highlights and bits and pieces here and there, box scores. Royden, it's well documented on this show. It's well documented nationally, probably. This Baylor roster has 100% turnover from last season. They have really rebuilt from zero, and I was pretty high on this roster coming in, especially a couple of guys. But what this World University Games has proven to me as a Baylor fan is this roster's a lot deeper than I think I realized. And there's a couple of names of guys that are really going to contribute this season that I would not have maybe expected prior to this trip. Talk about some of the guys you've noticed and what Baylor's doing right now as they head into the semifinal of that event.
Yeah, they're about to they're about to tip off as we speak. So I'm going to be pulling it up on my phone as we're having a conversation. But yeah, they're playing in these games, and it's an interesting setup because Baylor as a whole is representing Team USA. For those of you, I'm sure y'all have talked about this. They are just Team USA. I mean, they have I think they brought in like one player from Yale.
Yes,
yes.
You know what's sick though about the uniforms is the uniforms. It says Team USA, but there's the little BU on the shorts.
Yeah,
in the corner. So it's actually like it gives me chills. Actually,
yeah,
how cool those uniforms
it's really
are.
interesting. But they pull all the other teams are pulling their best college athletes, college basketball players from all over their country. So they actually get to form a full team.
It's more of a traditional national team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, if you were worth any salt, maybe you'd be playing on their national team, their big national team anyway, and not on these FISU games, which are, I think, separate from FIBA. I'm ranting, but the long and short of it is Baylor's just been kicking butt.
Dominant.
At this tournament. And really, a lot of these games haven't been that close. They've usually had 10-point leads going into the fourth quarter of all of these games and won a lot of these games by like 20 points. I think they beat India by, 40? So the long and the short of it is that, yes, the Baylor team is over there. They're also missing 5 players that are going to be on their team.
And 3 potential starters.
I quote tweeted you and said they're missing 1 starter. And I had accounted that Tunde Yesufu is just going to start for the Bears. You don't bring in a consensus 5-star prospect.
McDonald's All-American.
Again, one of the highest rated prospects that they've had. Again, that's another story. They keep doing that. But you're not going to bring in, a McDonald's All-American and he's not going to not start. So that's who I had accounted for. More people mentioned, and you did as well, that like Jocelyn Bodo may be starting. Michael Rataj, who's playing in these games.
He's also playing excellently.
Yeah, he's like
Germany.
the leading scorer for Germany, who I wouldn't be surprised if they meet up with in the championship game. I think they've won, they keep winning.
How fun would that be?
That would be
for
a very
that team, by the way.
Interesting storyline. So Michael Rataj, everybody seems to think that Jocelyn Bodo is going to start over Caden Powell. I'm not sure. Caden Powell goes about 6'9", 6'10" on a good day. Jocelyn Bodo, I think, is closer to 7 foot.
He's a true 7-footer.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if they just what they want to do with that. But what's been interesting is the connectivity of all of these guys that all these guys have without 5 players that could be seeing playing time for them in the future. I don't know if all 5 of them will, but like you said, at least 3 of them are gonna. So that's for teams of Baylor past, that's a good portion of your rotation. In fact, if you were missing 3 players, like last year's team, you get bounced in the second round by Duke. So that's kind of how that happens. Like Scott Drew has been known to mix and match his lineups, but also what I've seen is over the past few years, outside of the 2021 team that won the national championship, he doesn't go very deep into his bench anymore. He has about 7 players when healthy, and the health of the team has played into this, that really factor into his rotations. It seems to me, just based on what we're seeing out of this thing, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse. We may be overreacting when these guys actually play Big 12 competition. It seems to me that they may go 9 deep on this team. Cameron Carr has been the most outstanding player for this Baylor team in this tournament. He goes about 6'6". He plays a lot bigger than that. He has really long arms. I believe J.J. White, who is a new guard from Omaha on the team, obviously all these guys are new, but called him, I believe, the most athletic player he's played with. Him and Tunde, which is saying something about it. If you play basketball, you're playing with mega athletes. So to call them the most athletic people that they've ever played with is incredible. I mean, Cameron Carr has this ability to get to the rack, but he's also shown the ability to pull up from mid-range and knock down a mid-range jumper whenever it's not going well trying to get to the hole. Dan Skillings has been a revelation for me watching these tournaments, watching these games. Not only is he just putting his head down and going to the hole, sometimes that's just all you need, but like he's banging in the post. He goes about 6'6", 6'8", 6'6" to 6'8", just depending on where you are. But he also plays bigger than he is. I mean, he played on a hard-nosed team at Cincinnati in the Big 12 competition, so you know what you're getting. I was kind of coming away thinking, like, is Dan Skilling's going to start? Like, I don't, but it seems to me that people have kind of reading the tea leaves that he may be coming off the bench in favor of Michael Rataj starting, which seems to be
that would be
the
my
case.
thought, yeah.
But one thing that I have noticed, all these guys are crashing the boards. The box score won't indicate it, but you see all these guys crashing the boards. They're playing hard-nosed defense, which is something, not to say that they weren't trying to play defense the last couple of years, but it was not the same that we've seen.
Not even close.
That we had seen from Baylor teams past, especially the 2021 team, like, because how could you? But these teams they're getting in your shorts. They're playing defense. They're banging on the boards. And that's really all you need. It's just like the solid effort that all of these guys are giving. The shooting waxes and wanes, I think. I think you're going to need J.J. White to, like, knock down some threes that he hasn't really been doing in this tournament. But, Agbim has been lacing him from three to start.
As advertised.
So their guard depth is something that I'm looking at, but they kind of have taken the I don't know what I'm trying to say. They've tried to build this roster of, like, whatever. We'll just build the whole plane out of wings. Like the whole plane.
Well, so I described it a few months ago when they kind of finalized who was going to be in Waco as like it's the ultimate positionless basketball.
Yeah.
You've got some true centers.
Yeah.
And you got a couple guys that can run the point, and then you've got like 5 or 6 really good athletes who can play 2 through 4. Tunde can do that, right? Skillings theoretically can do that. Ratai can do that. Like, all these guys are kind of shooters, kind of slashers, but they're big, they're athletic, they're going to play good defense.
Yep.
It honestly reminds me a lot, Royden. Like, I know obviously the national championship team is the standard, but when you and I were students, Scott Drew's kind of MO was length.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a freshman, it was a lot of 2-3 zone, and it was 3 dudes with 7-foot wingspans across the bottom of a 2-3 zone with Anthony Jones, Quincy Acey, and whether it's Epe Udo or then later like Isaiah Austin or whoever's playing that center spot.
Right.
That was kind of Scott Drew's MO, and I almost feel like
Perry Jones was like
Perry Jones
may
exactly
have been like 6'10".
Fits that mold. Perfect. Exactly right. Lots of players like that in that kind of era, 10, 12 years ago at Baylor basketball. So it almost feels to me like you're kind of combining the two, and let me say why. You've got that length and that kind of positionless element, but you've also got probably 4 guys on the court almost constantly, or at least 3 guys who can switch and guard almost any position.
That's what you need. I think, not to interrupt you, but I think that what they were missing over the last couple of years' teams is, like, one, they were small.
Yes.
This team is not going to be.
Last year's team was way
so
too small.
Like,
yeah.
And Caden Powell plays bigger. Like, I keep saying this about these guys, but plays bigger than he is. He's listed at 6. He's listed at 6'9", but he can come in, and if Bodo gets, God forbid, gets injured or has to come out via foul trouble, like, he can get you. He's a 10-10 guy. Caden Powell is at the D1 level, so he can get you rebounds. I think that's what this team was missing. Obviously, you have the best. Last year, you had the best rebounder in, like, college basketball history outside of Wilt Chamberlain. But the idea that a 6'7" guy is playing in the second round against Duke as your center against a guy that went in the lottery.
Yeah. It's a problem.
Yeah, and went in the lottery as a true 7-footer. Like, that's a problem. What I think you're going to see is this team got more athletic. Across the board, they got longer and, better defensively. The offense is going to be something that we're going to have to see where it's going to come from.
But here's why I'm so optimistic about this team as opposed to, like, last year's team. If last year's team was down, needed some points, there were 2 tactics, dude. VJ ISO, Rob Wright ISO.
Yep.
That was it. That was the only way you could, like, if the offense isn't running, if people aren't hitting their shots, is it going to be Rob Wright or VJ Edgecombe that's just going to take the ball to the rack? That's all Baylor had when it came down to it last season. What I love about what these World Games have looked like is a bunch of dudes are putting up points.
Yep.
It's not just Obi Agbum. Like, if it was just Obi Agbum putting up 30 points, everybody else was at 12, I'd be like, crap. Like, what happens if they shut him down? But you've got, again, Cameron Carr, who I just had the photo up, going off in these games. Cam Skilling's playing probably above his weight in certain moments. I mean, lots of guys capable of generating points.
I was calling him Rataj and Cam or Dan Skillings, but anyway.
Did I just say? What did I just say?
I don't know. Is it Dan or Cam?
It's Dan Skillings.
We're gonna have to.
It's Dan Skillings.
It's Dan Skillings.
Cam Carr.
And
it's Michael Ratai.
You got to hang with us. All these guys are new.
Yeah.
We've interviewed maybe
100% roster turnover. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my question, and then we'll get into the Houston stuff. So, I had completely, and this was my tweet that got you to interact. And we just got a good fan question. I'll throw that up here in a second too. My question is, so I completely underestimated Cam Carr. I think a month ago I would have said he's the 8th guy, like, maybe 6th, like 6th kind of wing, 5th kind of wing option. Dude, to me, like, he's making a case to start, and I don't know how you don't start him. And so, who are your starting 5, Royden? I think mine would be Obi at the 1, probably Cam Carr and Tunde, kind of as your wings, Ratai at the 4, and I'm just assuming Bodo starts at the 5, but you could talk me into Caden Powell.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to. My thing is like but like Cam Carr played, true blue D1 basketball. Like Jesslyn Bodo.
Correct.
I mean,
High Point.
Played at High Point,
yeah.
But he goes 6'11", 7 foot. So it's like, do you want that?
And what I like about Bodo is it reminds me of like a Gillespie or who's another good? Epe Udo when Epe Udo came to Baylor.
He's a big-time shot blocker.
Bingo. He is the true enforcer in the middle of that defense.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, if they want him in there as the roll lob threat rim protector, I think you could go there. But it's not bad to have Caden Powell, Waco native, by the way,
Midway High School,
to be in there. He can do a lot of the same things. He's just a little bit smaller than Bodo. Like Bodo will have to put on some weight, man. He's all arms and legs. But it's going to be tough to keep Carr out of the lineup. Like, he was a 4-star prospect, I think, when he went to Tennessee. And I think a lot of people at Tennessee thought he was going to be a big-time piece for them. He transfers, man, the Baylor could have used him last year in a big way, regardless of where they just needed bodies. But he transferred in the middle of last season, so he can't play. But he's been in the system now for what'll be a year and a half. And so I'm fascinated to see, okay, do you put him at the 2 guard because he plays like a small, like he's a 6'6", 225 pound guard wing. Like, is that your shooting guard? I mean, positionless basketball are the days that we're living in. Yeah. So it's like, do you go the 2-3 guard rotation is something that over the past 5 years that they have made their bread and butter off of.
Yes,
so or has been their bread and butter, but it's like, okay, do you go Agbim, JJ White, Tunde, Ratai, Bodo? There's a mix and match with this lineup that they're going to have to figure out. I know that Agbim and Tunde are going to start. Like, you could quote me on that. And
no, they're
like, I don't know that for a fact, but
you signed those 2 to be your 2 best players.
Yeah. I believe in my heart of hearts. Now, they could come out when they get back from this tournament and be like, actually, this is our starting lineup. But Agbim is going to run your offense, and Tunde is going to be your key wing. Where the rest of the chips fall is actually really interesting. And not to mention Isaac Williams, who no one thought was going to, really, I don't know if anybody thought he was going to be a super contributor.
I didn't think he'd get minutes.
He's been awesome.
He's killing it.
He's dunking all over the place. He's knocking down some threes, sharing the rock. He's going to be your 3rd guard off the bench for sure.
So this leads into this this question I got from a viewer, but I'll set it up. Like, what's interesting is I think you have to start a bigger guy at the 2, because in my opinion, from the little I know and what I've seen, like, if you started Williams or if you started White as the 2 guard, I think you're sacrificing some really explosive scoring from some of these other guys. So to me, it's Cam Carr and it's Tunde. And who's the 2 and who's the 3, I don't think matters. Like, those 2 are on the perimeter with Obi. If I'm running the team. Now the question, it's interesting because you could then easily platoon in JJ and Isaac and Obi, all 3 of them. I mean, you could do all kind of things to get more of a Scott Drew 3-guard look out there. But this question that came in has to do with that a little bit. And it says, do you think Scott Drew can run multiple defensive schemes well with the potential for 9 deep? And I think I would just condense that to say, man, you're going to have so many options as far as size and skill set on offense, but then what do you do on defense? Because if it's Isaac Williams and J.J. Watt on the floor, you can't switch 5 positions. But if it's Tunde and Cameron Carr and Ratai, maybe you can.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, when people will be matchup hunting if you have like those 3 guards because they are kind of like smaller guards on the floor. So yeah, if you go with these just like long athletic wings, it's like good luck, man. Who knows how truly great they are defensively, but the more size and athleticism that you can throw out on the floor is never a bad thing. So I'm just fascinated by this because where I thought I was like, man, this might be tough going into next year. It is quite literally, this will sound hyperbolic, but hang with me. It is quite literally the biggest rebuild job that Scott Drew has had to do since the team, and for different reasons, obviously, but since the team came off of scandal in 2004. Like, no one has ever had to rebuild a team this, like, twice.
Yeah.
There was 0 players on this team.
100% and mostly through the transfer portal.
He said, Coach Drew had a great quote where he said, 0.0% of our returning production of last year.
Yeah.
0.0. That's unheard of. And now it's maybe a little bit more heard of in the transfer portal era that people are, in and out pretty frequently. But there's always some dude that was like left over from last year's team.
We thought there was a phase after the initial wave of portal. We thought it was just going to be Wright, Celestine, and Josh O.
Yeah.
And then they kind of later in the game all transferred out as well, which left you with 0, truly. Really quickly, Royden, because we talked about Baylor basketball way longer than I intended, which is good. I'm a Baylor guy, so I'm not complaining. But
I'm just fascinated by this story, man. If they come out and they are like, I'm not expecting them to win the Big 12, but if they come out and they are competitive and they're going to surprise a lot of people, I think it's a job well done. I mean, I'd be shocked if a Scott Drew team doesn't make the tournament, but it will be. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. And I think this tournament now is going to help.
Royden, I've argued about this with Baylor football fans of like, what should your expectations appropriately be for any given year for Baylor football?
Right.
Some people will say bowl game. Some people would say 8 wins. Some people would say compete for the Big 12, right? I think Baylor basketball is clearly beyond a point where the expectation, and I think Scott Drew's expectation is, even if we don't win the Big 12, we should be right in it. We should be in the hunt. Last year's team fell short of that.
Right.
I think this year's team certainly has the talent and capability to compete for the Big 12, even if they don't come away with it at the end of the day. Before we go to a break and get to some pop culture movie things, you are a Houston guy. You root for the Houston teams. Pete lives in DFW. I grew up in Waco, so I don't talk a lot of Houston sports, so this is a good opportunity quickly to update folks who might be into Houston sports. Astros.
Brother.
Talk to me about the Astros, dude. So I watch so little baseball.
Yeah.
I know they're leading the division. I know, power rankings wise, they're somewhere between 4 and 7. But I was thinking about this today, Royden. Like, we just talked about Baylor's expectations. The Astros are on like an 8 and 9 year run here.
Yeah.
Where really the expectation for this franchise is, are we competing to get back to a World Series? And as an Astros fan, tell me where they're at today.
Well, Jim Crane would always say that the window, as long as he's the owner, the window is always open. Now, has that been the case with how he's spent, i.e. Alex Bregman, letting Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, and the like walk? I don't know. But they've done a good job of getting people in place that have helped them continue to win. I think a lot of it goes down, and people can roll their eyes if you're not Astros fans, but a lot of it comes down to, like, as long as Jose Altuve is still on the team, it seems to be that they're going.
He's an all-time great, man.
Yes, they're gonna compete. So they have right now the best record in the American League. That is shocking because they have a league-leading 17 players on the injured list.
My God.
They have a league-leading 17 players on the injured list, including 6 dudes that were on their opening day roster, and I think 5 starters that were on their opening day roster, including the back half of their entire rotation has been decimated. Their bullpen has been pretty good, which has kind of kept them afloat. But their third baseman is now hurt. Their all-star shortstop, Jeremy Pena, is now hurt. Yordan Alvarez, who is, was on the verge of being an all-time great, like DH, it felt like to me. But on this David Ortiz track, he injured his hand. He hasn't played since May. Christian Walker has been on-off injured, who was their big sort of first baseman signing. He also hadn't been really that great. Their starting center fielder, who was having a career year, is now hurt. And a couple of their left fielders, Altuve has been on and off in left field, but a couple of their left fielders that they brought up have been hurt. They have still won. They're still 60-42 or something like that.
Yeah, 60-42.
Yeah, so they're still 60-42. They have the most players on the injured list. I've never seen anything like it. In fact, they were they've had a lot of these injuries. They got a lot of this injury bug last year. I kind of think, this is just me talking, they have one of the probably worst training staffs in the entire MLB. There's no reason that these guys should be out as long or for the amount of time that it feels like they're out, or why they keep sustaining this amount of injuries. It's wild.
Or human beings aren't designed to live in somewhere as humid and
right. No, they're not
disgusting.
Well, they play in a
Texas.
dome. They play in a dome. It took the Rangers that long to figure out. It took the Rangers 60 years to figure out that you could play
that you
baseball
can play in air
indoors.
conditioning in Texas. Yeah,
but I don't know. I think the expectation is that they're probably going to if they can somehow withstand this and get a couple of guys back for the end of the year, like they have players that were out with Tommy John last year that could be coming back by September. So if they can withstand all of this and win with their AAA squad playing on the field, then the idea is that you win the division and you get a first round bye. And they kind of ran into that last year when they didn't get a first round bye. They ran into an up and coming Detroit Tigers team who's also now was kind of a year ahead. Now they're the first or second best team in the AL, and they ran into Tarek Skubal, who won the Cy Young, and so he just dominated them, and they couldn't hit. They also had all those injuries last year, so you want to try to avoid the upstart, up and coming team, and maybe get that first round bye, and you don't have to play the wild card team, which has seemed to be their kryptonite over the past couple of years. I'm fascinated by it. I don't have any idea that they're going to win another World Series with this squad. I just don't see it. Because they would have to get a ton of people healthy at the right time to get enough at-bats and get enough pitches under their belt to make a run into October. But if that happens, look out. People will be, tweeting through it that they may be winning again.
Hey.
I don't think it'll happen, but it's fun to watch, man. I love baseball, and I love that the Astros are good because I went through my entire teenage years where they were the worst. They were the worst thing that has ever been put on a field. They were hilariously bad. So you can cry in the comments as long as you want. I'm watching fun baseball, so that's what I like.
So true. Well, I was a hater for a long time, Royden. I was because I grew up a Rangers fan.
I get it.
But the difference is the Rangers have managed to make magic happen once, despite my still the trauma I carry from the 2011 World Series.
Man, so many people do. They're still going through it. I think people are still wanting
Royden,
Nelson Cruz to take one step back.
No. So I just told you I don't watch baseball. I stopped watching baseball.
Oh, really? Because of that?
I was a huge baseball fan, and that 2011 World Series broke me, dude. I have not kept up with baseball since.
People
even
are
when
still
the Rangers,
talking about
even when the
Cruz.
Rangers won the World Series, I was excited, but I did not keep up with it.
Yeah, it didn't hit you the same.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm still carrying some. I need to process that in therapy. I think the Rangers.
Yeah, I mean,
losing
people
that
are still talking
2011.
about the Albert
David
Pujols.
Freese. I want to murder David Freese. Okay. Sorry.
People are still talking. He can eat for free forever in St. Louis, can
Yes.
he? But people are still talking about the Albert Pujols home run that was hit off of Brad Lidge, and the Astros won that series. So scars last forever.
But
it feels like.
I brought up the Rangers to say, the Rangers made magic happen once. The Astros have made magic happen multiple times now.
Yeah.
So as you said, maybe not the expectation, but I will not be shocked if we find the Astros in the World Series.
Seems to be a reality. I mean, they lost a couple of World Series that they probably should have won, and then they were in they were in two that they had no business being in.
Yeah.
And so it's been fun to watch, especially you get disappointed as we lost the World Series, but it's no business being there. So this could be a team that could probably do that again, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Fantastic. Last thoughts, and then we'll go to a break before we talk films and your podcast. We talk a lot of Cowboys. You heard me yapping about Jerry Jones when you walked in.
Big mad about the NFL contracts.
Dude, it's ridiculous. Jerry Jones is the worst. But I have been a C.J. Stroud defender.
Yeah.
I think he's a really good quarterback, and I think there's a lot of reasons he regressed last season, having not to do with him. I think everybody's sleeping on the Texans. I don't know how good they're going to be, but their division still isn't very good. They still do have a quarterback I believe in. They still have Nico Collins. They still have a head coach I believe in. You, as the Texans fan, are feeling how?
Fine. I think it's fine. I think last year was such a big disappointment for a lot of people, and it's funny because it's like it was such a disappointment. Like the Texans have also had the history of being so bad that like people would have murdered each other for that season that they had last year. Where
Correct.
They blow out the Chargers and then take the Chiefs down to the fourth quarter and kind of collapse in on themselves like a dying sun. And they let 78-year-old Travis Kelce rumble, bumble, and stumble his way for his best game of the season. I digress. But you would have killed for that season last year, and they quote unquote weren't good. And a lot had to do with that. I've been on the Bobby Slowick is actually bad trained since he took the job as the offensive coordinator for the Texans. He led C.J. Stroud to having that awesome rookie year that people are still talking about 2 years later. I think it was kind of supplanted by Jaden Daniels last season.
Totally.
But and then it all regressed. The offensive line didn't perform well. In fact, I think that Bobby Slowick was out over his skis on trying to didn't make any adjustments, or at least the offensive line may have even refused to make adjustments. Apparently that room was really bad. But all that to say, I feel fine about going into the next season. They draft 18. They draft and add 18 wide receivers. Or because unfortunately Tank Dell had a Sean Livingston type injury.
So sad, dude, because he's a good player too.
He's such an awesome player, but he had a really Sean Livingston knee blowout injury, and we'll see if he even sniffs the field this year. I doubt it, but they signed 2 Iowa State wide receivers, or draft 2 Iowa State
both
wide
of
receivers who are awesome. I watched them play at Iowa State last year, but they bring in Christian Kirk, who's off injured, but also a Texas native and kind of the possession wide receiver that really you need for this Texans
Can
team.
be a veteran leader in that room.
I mean, he could. I think he could be really good, and I think he's kind of maybe an underrated sleeper fantasy draft pick if you want my advice on that. But their defense is going to be excellent. They're going to be great. The back half of that defense, they signed. Help me out here. He's on the Eagles last year. He won a championship with them. They traded for him. C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say Sauce Gardner.
I forgot they signed him. Yeah.
I believe they traded for him, and so to shore up their back half of their safety position, which may or not, especially when Jalen Petrie went out, was a black hole for them last year. But they had the best or the second best cornerback in the NFL, and Derek Stingley, and they have an offensive line or defensive line that's going to get after you. Plus, their coach is a defensive guy, and so far has led them to being a get after you, hit you in the mouth defense that really makes people turn over the ball and does a really good job with that. The question is the offensive line again. They completely almost revamped that entire offensive line. I think 2 guys are back from that offensive line. They trade, all Pro Bowl left tackle Laramie Tunsil kind of for nothing.
Yeah,
really. I mean,
Nichols.
a 3rd round pick. It's gonna be interesting. We're gonna see. I don't know, Jim. I think will it gel and be better? We'll have to see. Will CJ be gun shy and get happy feet in the pocket? And he kind of regressed last year because he was literally any throws over. He was the most pressured person on any throws over 15 yards.
Yeah, we were having David Carr flashbacks a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was the most pressured quarterback on any throws over 15 yards last year. He had 0 time to get the ball down the field, which is a stark difference from what we saw when he was pushing the ball down the field his rookie year. Will he develop bad traits because of that? We'll have to see. I still think he's the best quarterback that the Texans have ever even sniffed. So
yeah,
I love watching
that. Should not be controversial.
No, it's not. It's not even. I mean, like David Carr had some talent, but he obviously was not. The team was not prepared to have a quarterback drafted that high.
Deshaun Watson was pretty dadgum good.
He was good when he played, but but yeah, I don't know. I think that C.J. Stroud has the most talent, and Peyton Manning had something really cool to say when they were at one of these events, these Fanatics events or whatever that they go and do publicity for. But he's won 2 playoff games. Granted, they're wild card playoff games against okay teams, but he's won 2 playoff games. Peyton Manning was like,
better than Dak.
Yeah, Peyton Manning was like, I didn't win a playoff game until like my 5th year or something like that.
Yeah.
So we kind of, with the way that all of this works now, we're like, man, he should be doing this, that, and the other. Jaden Daniels makes the NFC Championship game in his rookie year. It's like, that feels like an anomaly. What really happens in the NFL is like you take your lumps and then you win the whole thing. We're now used to like Patrick Mahomes is going to win the Super Bowl in his 2nd year, and it's just like, I don't think that really happens. I think Patrick Mahomes is like the 1st or 2nd greatest quarterback that has ever lived, and he's an anomaly. So
yes,
I'm waiting to see. I think the pieces are there. I'm a battered and bruised Texans fan. That why would anything ever good ever happen to the Texans? But we'll wait and see. Hope springs eternal this time of the year.
I'll put it this way: comparing the Cowboys to the Texans, in the NFL, you got to get head coach right and you got to get quarterback right. I don't think the Cowboys have either. I think the Texans have both. I do.
I'll take it. But
I think the Texans have both. You got time to talk movies?
Oh, yeah, I got
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of the summer blockbusters. There's been a ton of them, particularly in this month. I've got Fantastic Four tickets for tonight. Can't wait.
I'm jealous. I
can't wait to talk about that when we come back with Royden Ogletree. And we'll talk about his other podcast, maybe you didn't know, the One Take Pod. We'll be right back on the Pete Sousa Show.
Dive into adventure with scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. With over 20 years of experience, our expert staff, who've dived everywhere from the Galapagos to the Maldives, provides personalized advice to help you find the perfect gear for any underwater journey. Shop leading brands like GoPro, Aqualung, and Scuba Pro. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Our research-backed bioavailable formulas are crafted with your health in mind, ensuring the highest quality and safety. From preconception to pregnancy and beyond, we exceed industry standards with independent testing for harmful contaminants. With our comprehensive practitioner directory, personalized care is always within reach. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at fullwellfertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. We use the finest materials like Italian top-grain leather, known for its durability and luxurious feel, and apply meticulous attention to detail in every piece we create. Our replicas are crafted with the same care and precision as the originals, but a price that makes them accessible. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. Using advanced tech fabrics that are 100% waterproof, UV tear, and abrasion resistant, we ensure lasting durability with hand-sewn double-stitched seams. Our commitment to quality, precision engineering, and customizable options is unmatched. With vertically integrated operations and express shipping, we deliver premier protection at affordable prices. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels, our rebounders improve accuracy, control, and technique in both sports. Built with premium materials for durability and ease of use, they're ideal for training anywhere, anytime. Whether you're perfecting your soccer game or sharpening your lacrosse skills, Open Goal USA has you covered. Visit OpenGoAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. Developed by our mad developer Alex and tested by riders, our products are made by riders for riders. Discover more at us.muc-off.com, where we break the mold to bring you the best in bike care.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
I was fine. What really spoiled it for me was a woman was literally, I've never seen this before, watching Instagram Reels with the sound on in the middle of the movie theater.
Nah.
What?
Swear to God.
I'm sure she was bored to tears. I mean, I don't blame her for that.
No, it was 15 minutes into the movie.
I'm snitching. I don't care.
She eventually put it down, but like she also had her ringtone on. Then somebody was coming, like her family or her friends were coming up to her and like talking to her over the edge of the seats, like, "Hey, can I get my phone?" And da 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 da. And they just were talking, having a conversation, like over the edge of this other seat, just talking to each other. But I looked over, and I'll send a text message during the movie, but it's like, boom, get it done. Put my phone up, put it on.
Screen's real dark.
Yeah, exactly. I put the screen down real dark because I get embarrassed if that flash screen comes up in my, super bright face, just like boom. But she just straight up had our brightness all the way on and was watching Instagram Reels. I had never seen anything like it. So that takes some points away from this movie.
Deserves. Gareth, you deserve that.
It's just a taste of the One Take podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We need to get you in the Rogue Media family, but I'll leave that conversation for another time. Royden here is co-host of this excellent movie podcast. I give it a listen every so often when I'm curious about something coming out or something they've seen. Dex Hinton on there. I knew at Baylor as well. So
long-time Baylor graduate, but long-time Baylor fan as well.
Yeah. So a great show over there. So you may not have known this. Royden's not only an expert when it comes to Central Texas sports, but film as well.
Expert is lightly. I watch a lot of movies.
That counts for something.
Yeah, that's
right?
fine.
Right? Well, we didn't exactly do like a rundown on this, Royden, so we can kind of talk about whatever we want, but it is the summer of blockbusters.
It is.
In consecutive weeks, you had F1, Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman. I Know What You Did Last Summer just came out. That's probably the smallest one, but still, that's a big name kind of film, horror movie fans. And then Fantastic Four comes out tonight.
Yeah.
I have a couple of thoughts on some of these films, but what are your what's your summer blockbuster viewing experience been like?
I think it's been fun. I think it's been, it's kind of the blockbuster summers of what we were raised on. It's like two or three we haven't even talked about Thunderbolts, which didn't like break the block a lot, but like
I really enjoyed that movie.
I loved Thunderbolts actually, but it was it was a medium-sized superhero movie that made a decent amount of money. It kind of maybe lost money, but like
I was gonna say I think it lost money.
It made like $400 million, but like it feels like the summers of when we were kids, of where not only is it big time movies that are making a lot of money because it seems that people are going back to movies now. Also, like there's not a lot on TV right now, so people are actually paying to go to movies. There's movies that people want to see, and they're pretty good. some are a little like F1. I really, really liked F1. It's a crowd pleaser. There's not much thought going behind F1. It's like cars are going to go fast. And yeah, like, hell yeah, brother. We're going to go watch cars go fast. Like it's those kind of movies. I think the most offensive one, quote unquote, that people are getting offended by is Superman, which is crazy to like think about. But it's a summer of things kind of outperforming themselves, and then like quality movies. It's not one of these blockbusters have been really bad slop yet, which I find like, I don't think a lot of people liked I Know What You Did Last Summer, but the Final Destination movie that came out was probably the smash hit of the year.
Yeah.
It made like $300 million on a $20 million budget, and people really like that movie. It's like the best reviewed Final Destination movie of all time, which isn't hard to do. But people really like that movie, so that's like a surprise hit. You got a lot of these surprise hits that, people are just going in mass to see. Now it's usually comic book or horror movies that people really go and see. Like nobody went and saw Eddington, which I did, but nobody went and saw it and made like $5 million. But you're getting more quality films, which I think has been just what people have been asking for. Is like, hey, can I have fun at the movies and like actually come at certain points, think a little bit, but also I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint, but it feels like the film discourse on Twitter is always like, we're so back, it's so over.
Yeah,
I think we're in a we're so back moment right now.
I think
tentatively.
So too. I think so too. And I think going back to that kind of old school feeling, I had that feeling when I was probably more excited to see the premiere of the teaser for the Odyssey prior to Jurassic World Rebirth than I was to watch any of these movies.
Yeah.
And that felt like a throwback to like the other moment in history I remember hearing people talk about in that regard that I was too young to remember really well was when the trailer for The Phantom Menace came out in the late 90s. Mm-hmm. People would go to the theater just to see that trailer.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt when I already had my Jurassic World tickets for a premiere on a Thursday night, and they're like, the Odyssey trailer. And the guy I went with, I was like, shut up. Because like the theater goes dark and up comes just a shot of the water. And I'm like, I'm in, let's go. Like, so like not only is this a good kind of we're back moment for movies, but also I think that momentum is going to continue when you talk about the Odyssey, the next Dune film. There's like 5 movies coming out next year. Another Star Wars film coming out next year.
Yeah.
There's some real positive momentum, I think, building up. I did want to ask you this. And I want to know about your experience, and maybe you reference people to your podcast if you don't want to overshare.
No, that's fine.
But I had 2 very different movie theater experiences that I don't know how to reconcile.
Okay.
And so, for starters, I got a Letterboxd. I finally did it. People have been telling me to get one for years.
You're officially in, brother.
I finally
movie
got one
nerd.
before I went and saw Jurassic World Rebirth, and followed you on Letterboxd. And the first movie I saw with my Letterboxd was Jurassic World Rebirth. And here was my experience with Jurassic World Rebirth. My experience was I knew Gareth Edwards was making a Jurassic World movie, and so I wanted to see it all along.
Gareth Edwards did the Godzilla movie, for those who don't know, but
2014,
Rogue One is
Rogue One, the creator.
The creator.
Yeah.
He's a really good visual
storyteller, and I was very excited about that potential. Then all the kind of reviews started coming through, and I tempered my expectations because they weren't great. And I was like, okay, here's the deal. It's a Jurassic movie. If it looks cool, if the dinosaur sequences are compelling, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I had a tremendous time at the movie theater. I had a tremendous time watching it. And then all my friends were like, I heard it wasn't very good. I'm like, listen, I went in to see big dinosaurs chase people, and I had a blast. Because that's all it was. And so if that's what you're going for, it's great. So I gave it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd because I was like, this movie isn't great, but I had a blast. It's what I want out of a Jurassic movie. Don't think about it too hard. Kind of like you're saying with F1. Cars go fast. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
This was like, big dinosaurs look awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. Was kind of my reaction. Okay, so then I had the very exact opposite experience for Superman. James Gunn doing a Superman movie sounded terrible to me. I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
The trailers didn't get me excited. I don't love Superman as a character.
No, same.
And then all the reviews start coming out, And I'm like, oh, this is a good movie. Like, everybody loves this movie. So I went in with high expectations, Royden, and I saw it Sunday night. And I was a little let down.
Okay.
I was like, dude, yeah, like, it's fun. It's good, but it's like, I guessed every plot point, every step of that movie. Very generic. Too many James Gunn moments for me that took me out of the movie, that made me mad.
Yeah.
But then on Letterboxd, do you know what I did? I gave it 3.5 stars because I was like, this is good, but it's not great. So I have these 2 3.5 star movie experiences. One was very elating and one was very deflating. So there's my rant about the 2 movies I've seen this July. What's your perspective on each?
Well, it's interesting because it's like, we'll start with the Letterboxd thing, and I know we're going long, but the Letterboxd thing, if you haven't been on there, it's based on a 5-star scale. So basically, it goes from like, it's really easy to go from like 5 stars is A+, and then you can go down the A scale the ABC scale as you get down. It's kind of the way you can kind of look at it, but or 1 through 5 if you just want to look at it that way. But the idea of that is that, like, sometimes you can get into a movie and it can be the same rating for a movie you really didn't like and a movie that you really liked.
Exactly.
Because it's like, well, that was a good movie technically. I didn't have a good time. How do I feel about the movie in general? And you're kind of just like it's a real sliding scale. This is where you see people will go back and readjust their ratings and stuff like that over time and be like, actually, that movie sucked. Like it's down 1. But it's a really funny kind of wonky rating system. But I do enjoy it because it's like, for the longest time I had a running notes app, and I still do, of movies that I've watched. But it's just like, hey, we invented an app for that where you can just, it gives you the movie poster too, so you can remember what you watched. Anyway,
yeah.
The idea behind Jurassic World is like my co hosts on that show, Tej and Dex. Actually, Tej actively hated it, and I yelled at him a little bit on the podcast because he like watched it on don't sell him out, but he watched it on like a bootleg stream or something like that.
Well,
and he was just like, I didn't like it, and I was like, you watched it on your phone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what
I was in a D box for the first time, and it was a blast.
Yeah, like more power to you if you're getting shaken around.
Yeah.
These movies have long since lost the plot of what the original was, which is like this one sort of had a little bit of it, but the original one had these huge ideas from the Michael Crichton book of corporations don't have your best interests at heart. Are you playing God? Is that okay to do? Like, humans versus nature. Your
it had
place
these
in the
big
world.
thematic sci-fi things. Yeah.
With also like the Spielbergian nature of it. They kind of invented CGI for that movie. It was a revelation. That movie is the best one, and they've made 7. So like that's tough to that movie was made in 1993. And they haven't made one as good as that since.
And won't.
They quite literally can't. So, I think people are going into these movies still expecting the feeling that they had when they were a child, when they watched that movie for the first time. And really what you have to adjust to your expectations. These are now blockbuster slop a little bit.
Yeah.
These are more equivalent. These movies are more equivalent to the Fast and Furious movies than they are to the original Jurassic Park movie.
Exactly.
That being said, I went in there and I was like, yeah, I had a good time, because the last 2 Jurassic World movies were pieces of garbage. I thought those things were an affront to movies. I think those things suck. But the idea of this one is like, okay, well, you got good looking people doing awesome things, running away from dinosaurs. I think the movie was a little bit like cowardly in that it was a little bit bloodless. I think it was a little distracted on where it should have like either focused on the family.
There's a big plot twist in the final 2 minutes of the movie that really made me mad.
Yeah, exactly. Like should have focused more on either the family that's in the movie or like the mercenaries
instead of both.
Yeah, led by Scarlett Johansson that's in the movie. I digress. I had a good time. They were all like, the plot makes no sense, yada yada yada. And to your point, I came away from that going like, I don't care. Like I just didn't care. Like I still gave it 2.5 stars on Letterboxd because at times it sounded like people like had brain injuries when they were talking to each other, like they'd never talked to each other before in real life. So
yeah,
like some of that was a little wonky. I had a good time. It's not good. It's not bad. It's fine.
Yeah,
and that was better than the affront that I thought the other movies were. Superman, I thought was one of the best movies that I've seen this year.
Really?
I love that movie. And in fact, all the other people on our podcast love that movie. This is a big caveat on if you like James Gunn. It seems that you don't really love James Gunn that much. Like, how do you feel about the Guardians movies?
I love them.
You love the Guardians movies.
I'm very conflicted on this because here's the other thing, and I said this in my Letterboxd review. I like the DC universe he sets up in the film.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the right guy to lead the new DC Studios kind of vision-wise.
I'd agree,
That's
yeah.
great. I think he's passionate about it, and he knows the comics. Like, I think he's good at that. And I like that it seems as if he is going to hire directors and let them put their creative kind of stamp on top of the property. The Clayface movie coming up is probably the best
Mike
example
Flanagan's going to be involved with that movie.
Correct. That being said, that I like those things, James Gunn's tropes, it's not even his talent or his style, it's the tropes that work so well for those Guardians of the Galaxy movies do not work for Superman. I'll tell you the scene I almost wanted to stand up and walk out of the theater. And a lot of people love it, by the way, so this really might be a taste thing. Mr. Terrific's one shot on the beach where he absolutely single-handedly obliterates this elite force of guards or soldiers or whatever. I don't want to be too spoilery, but it was the most epic action scene in that movie. Which, by the way, the most action scene in that movie didn't involve Superman, so that tells you what you need to know. But we have a needle drop of like a soft pop rock song,
as James Gunn does,
and it's meant to be and it's meant to be this ironic, funny, like we're watching this badass moment, and we're like, ha 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 ha, singing along.
Yeah, it's the fun.
And I cannot stand that.
You don't have joy in your heart.
No, dude. I thought it undercut the character. I thought it undercut the moment. I want swelling action-adventure score.
Yeah.
You are showing me how lethal this new superhero that I don't know well is. I'm here to watch Superman. You're showing me how cool this guy is, this portrayal of this character. And you completely undercut it with your trope because you can't, and it's because it's this thing of like James Gunn can't help himself.
He can't help himself.
You can't give me the conventional cool thing because you have to do your funny James Gunn thing. So that's my horse.
Well, you know,
a lot of people disagree with me. It's okay.
It's kind of funny because Dex, shout out to him. He called it the Quicksilver scene from X-Men.
Yeah.
Where he just like, where in the middle of like one of the reboot X-Men, they're just like, hey, let's just stop the movie and have this really cool effect for a little bit. And that's kind of what it is. I came away from it being like, okay, that was fun and cool. Everybody's saying it's like, oh, it's the best thing. I'm kind of like, it's fine. I appreciate James Gunn needle drop, and it's interesting to see that in a Superman movie, because what Superman movies have been lacking for a long time, or over the past decade or so, quite frankly, is fun. Those last Zack Snyder's Batman versus Superman,
dreadful,
Man of Steel, zero fun, sir. They were like,
correct.
They were. I don't even know how to describe them as other than being kind of drab and cynical about like the character.
Yes.
And it just wasn't a lot. It's fun in the sense that of the scale and the big fights, if you want to look at it that way. But just the idea of them being like having any sort of like comical whimsy, zero in that. And then in fact, like the Brandon Routh Superman is like really, really bad and boring.
Yes.
So since I've been a kid, or from when I was a kid, because I wasn't around to watch the original Christopher Reeve Superman, like these have been boring and drab for the past 2 decades. So the idea that he came in there, infused it with some pop, infused it with some color and some life. Superman had a personality, whether you liked it or not, I don't know, but like he had a personality, and in fact, people got mad at it online. I think most people enjoyed the film, but like James Gunn had something to say in the middle of a big comic book superhero movie, and I found that fascinating. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't a 5-star classic, like kind of like the Richard Donner Superman.
Yeah.
But I had a fun time at the movie theater, and he affected me a little bit with, it was manipulative, but with them holding up the Superman flag in the middle of the desert. manipulative, but I was also kind of like, ugh, like it,
no.
it
So
got me a little bit.
I'll give James Gunn this because you're right. A lot of what you said is correct. It is the best Superman movie that's come out in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And that's not really a competition, to
Right.
be honest. I'm not a Man of Steel person either. It is the best portrayal of the character I've seen in my lifetime. I liked the character. I liked the actor. He nails character beats. He does. The Guardians movies, that's why they're so great. Guardians 3 wrecked me over a raccoon's character.
Oh yeah, isn't crying in the club because they played
James Gunn is so good at that. So like I'll give
Bradley
you
Cooper raccoon.
The best scene in that movie to me was when he's back at the farm with Mom and Dad Kent.
Yeah,
that scene is James Gunn at his best, and I'm glad we have it.
It's pretty good at sincerity.
I think tone, characters, I think he nailed. But I almost wish like a Joe Johnston had directed it, or a Ron Howard, like something a little more conventional, rather than the Gunn-ness of it. But I understand that's a taste thing.
Well, it's also he writes his own script, so like who's going to tell him no with what his vision is?
Sure.
So
So honestly, I hope the sequel to this movie, whatever, not Supergirl, but whether it's Superman 2 or whatever, next time we bring this cast of characters back, I'd really like Gunn to have a writing role, but I'd really like another director.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's going to make like $600 million, which is what Superman movies tend to do. People online will tell you that it's a flop, but like it's not. It's going to make a ton of money. But
I was in a full theater on a Sunday night in Waco.
Yeah, no, that was the first
next weekend.
Every showing of the opening weekend and the next weekend in Waco. That's hard to do, man. Like people
that's how I judge films, by the way, and how successful they're going to be. If you fill up a theater weekend 2 in Waco, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, you got something. You got something.
You're doing pretty good. We've gone way over. Pete's never going to let me host the show again, but tonight I'm seeing Fantastic Four. I predicted in January this would make $1 billion. I have been very high on this movie since they announced who's in it, who's working on it, what it looks like, what it's going to be. If this movie does not do well, because I think it's positioned itself in every way it can to do well.
Yeah.
The landscape of blockbusters, superhero movies, certainly Marvel, it's going to be weird, especially because they're putting all this effort right now into this, bring everybody, including Robert Downey, back and do another big Joe Russo movie.
Eye roll, shrug.
Sure. That's how a lot of cinephiles feel.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for good franchises.
Trust me, I eat the slop, dude. But I'm also just kind of like, that feels a little.
So, how do you feel about Fantastic Four? Are you going to go see it? Are you excited?
Yeah, just like Superman, it's like we've never gotten a quote unquote good movie. I have a strange place in my heart for the first one of those movies that came out when we were like 10.
Yeah, we were so young.
Yeah, I was like, this is fun.
Just Chris Evans lighting on fire and flying was awesome.
You go back and you look at it, they're not very good. But like, I'm interested to see if they can make this work because people love these characters like almost as much as they love like the X-Men.
Yes.
And I've always found them to be a little wonky. It's like, you got a big rock dude and a guy that stretches really far. Like, I don't know. But people love these characters. And I think that if they can nail this, it allows them to open up doors that they haven't been able to do since, quite frankly, since like Endgame. And these characters are wonky, and throwing these wonky characters in a movie after a really grounded movie like Thunderbolts is really fun. You kind of get the best of both worlds. I thought like the trailers and stuff, like I wasn't super impressed by how they looked and stuff, but like subsequent marketing material has come out where it's like, oh, this looks like these were filmed in real places. That's fun.
Yeah.
And not just all on green screen. Yeah. But I love the cast. I think Pedro Pascal's a little overexposed right now, but like Vanessa Kirby's always been awesome. Ebon Moss-Bachrach is I think he's going to be a great thing.
I do too.
And
Joseph Quinn.
Joseph Quinn, thank you. I bought Joseph Quinn stock like everybody else after Stranger Things. But like him in A Quiet Place and in other roles that he's had recently, I like Warfare, if you saw that.
Gladiator 2.
Yeah, Gladiator 2. I thought he's been great. He's been on a really good run. So I think this is a great character to propel his star even further than what it's been. And I think he's made some really interesting choices. I'll have to see it. Power scaling is like, okay, now we're taking on Galactus in the first movie. Or like the trailers have been like this huge thing walking through downtown Manhattan. You're just like, oh crap. Okay, we'll see how this goes.
But at least they're going for it, and Galactus isn't a cosmic cloud.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the first or second movie. Yeah, I'm very excited to see it. I think it'll be fun. And will it have any sort of thing to say in the movie? No, but it'll be getting back to basics with the superhero franchises that I think Marvel kind of like lost somewhere along the way.
They kind of lost the plot.
Lost the plot a little bit along the way. And then they're going to just have to try to use this to like tie in all the other stuff. So I'll be interested to see how they do that. All that being said, I had a little bit of superhero fatigue, especially when they were pumping out Marvel show after Marvel show on the Disney Plus service, and they expected you to watch all of it. And I was like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
They're clearly course correcting.
Yeah, they're course correcting. They're only putting out 2 movies this year, and then like 1 or 2 movies the next couple of years.
Well, you're forgetting that Captain America came out this year.
Oh yeah, I am. That movie was garbage.
Yeah.
But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So they used to put out 4 of these things, and maybe you get a 50% hit rate on this. So I'm excited. That I'm kind of withholding judgment at this point. So that's
totally fair. Last question, and then I promise we're gonna get out of here and get on with our Thursday. Movie you are most looking forward to the remainder of 2025.
God, I'd have to look on the slate. I saw the Rock trailer, the trailer for The Rock, The Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
Which is a Safdie movie, which I'm really excited about. I was trying to remember the rest of the stuff that's actually even coming out this year. I've been so looking forward to Superman and Fantastic Four.
Yeah, this is the month that I've had circled on the calendar.
Yeah, I feel like such.
I'll tell you, for me, it's probably Project Hail Mary. Is that this year? Is that early next year?
I think that's early next year, which is like why I think that they have Project Hail Mary looked fantastic.
I think that movie
it's going to be
really
a Ryan
cool.
Gosling.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling summer over the past, because he's also going to be in a Star Wars movie. So let's see upcoming films, and there's another Safdie movie coming out, Mickey Supreme, or no, what's it called? I think it's called Mickey Supreme with Timothy Chalamet, which is another Safdie movie. Oh, that's what it is. I am unbelievably psyched about The Running Man with Glenn Powell.
Yes, that looks sick.
Yeah, I'm unbelievably psyched about The Running Man. That's supposed to come out later this year. Edgar Wright film. I've had Edgar Wright stock forever. I didn't watch Last Night in Soho, but he's quite frankly never made a bad film to me. So my Glenn Powell stock, I'm kind of over leveraged on it, but
most of us are.
I'm really looking forward to that. And then of course, which I don't know if anybody's going to see this or know what I'm talking about, but if you watch Barbarian, Weapons is coming out in a couple of weeks, and it's the Zach Krager film, who was used to be a member of the Whitest Kids You Know, that sketch comedy show that used to air on like VH1 or something like that. But he's since made a really well-received horror film called Barbarian, which I believe is on HBO Max. You should watch it. It's very weird. And then he's putting out this film called Weapons that seems to have like everyone in Hollywood's in the movie. And early reviews are that it's freaky and awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that.
There you go. I had never heard of this movie. Now I need to watch it. Weapons. Royden, you've made this a phenomenal show.
Oh, thank you.
We have gone 30 minutes over time.
Yeah, Pete's not going to let me back.
You get two good guys with good opinions in a room, and you can go all day. Pete, come back. Let's do it. Let's do it tomorrow. Thanks to Royden. Make sure to check out One Take Podcast for the movie stuff. KWTX here locally in Central Texas for all of your sports coverage. My name has been Scotty Swingler. Thanks so much for tuning into the Pete Sousa Show. Thanks to Slovaceks for making it happen. Of course, Crawford Austin Properties, Daniel Stark, Socorro Family Ford, Extra Co Banks. Everybody's on board. By the way, speaking of KWTX, I got to talk to Corey about when we're making this announcement, but it's got to be soon. We're going to have some big Baylor football news for you here very soon of what we're doing here at Rogue Media to cover Baylor this season. It's very exciting. I had a meeting yesterday. Just stay tuned. If you're a Baylor fan, you're going to want to be part of the Rogue Media family this fall for some of the best Baylor football coverage. We've already got David Smoke. We've already got Pete Sousa. We got a couple other guys coming in to make sure we are the one-stop shop for your Baylor football coverage. So stay tuned for that. Hey, appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow. This is the Pete Sousa Show.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extra. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.